What's up, guys? This is Kaglo, and normally I'm here to give you the lowdown on all things gaming, but we are back for yet another episode of The Cutting Board, and today I'm joined by John Hansen. Why don't you say what's up?
What's up? Let's talk some Sony, some PlayStation, some Astrobot.
I think it's safe to say this snowball for PlayStation has been accumulating over the past few weeks. Last week, Astrobot released, and it released to critical acclaim. It's a hit. It looks like we're off to the races here for Astrobot. I want to get your thoughts about this game and where we stand on PlayStation moving forward.
Just just to preface this, I was very excited for Astrobot when it was announced. I loved Astro's Playroom. Still one of my favorite PS5 games. So Astrobot came out, and I haven't beaten it yet. I am on the 5th world, I want to say. The one with the bird boss.
Yep.
So I think that's 5th. I just beat the chameleon.
Okay.
And yeah, I love it. It's very good. It's exactly what I wanted out of the next Astrobot game. When Playroom was released alongside the PS5, I was like, yeah, I want this but more. And that's exactly what I got. It celebrates the PlayStation history brilliantly with all these references to various characters, even ones that aren't the traditional bipedal robots. You've got like Spyro the Dragon in there. There's a bot that's just a flower for that. I think the game is just called Flower on the PS Vita, I want to say.
A deep cut.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. There's tons of deep cuts. Like, there's all these characters that I'm getting that I don't even recognize them. I'm like, I don't know who that is. Because it's like celebrating the entire history. It's not just Sony franchises. It's third parties. Any one game that had a significant impact on a PlayStation hardware is pretty much in this game. The only one that I have found so far that I was like, I don't think about PlayStation when I see that was Arthur from Ghost and Goblins.
Okay.
He's in there. I was a bit surprised to see him, but like other than that, like every one that I see is just like, yeah, I remember playing that on PlayStation. I can see why that one's there. And those ones that I have no recollection of, I'm like, that is just so cool. I tweeted this out last week. I was like, man, Astrobot's funny because you think of like, oh yeah, little kids are going to be playing this game and they're finding all these characters and they're like, wow, this is really cool. I want to look at PlayStation's past. I want to check out these old games. And then you find Pyramid Head, and it's like,
I don't think you want to find that game.
No, stay away from that one, kids.
At least for now.
Yeah.
You brought up a good point of, first of all, Playroom I thought was a good example of an extension and or showcase of the hardware. I'm talking about the DualSense, how the haptic feedback, all that stuff works. Great showcase of that. And like you just said, it's that and more here. The love letter to prior IP in PlayStation. I can't tell like anybody this enough. Jak and Daxter, God of War, Sly Cooper. I mean, there is so much jam-packed in this game, and it's a love letter. That's all I can really say on this matter. And that brings me to another point I wanted to talk about today, and that's this executive or somebody within PlayStation bringing up the fact they need more IP. You got a game like Astro's Playroom. It showcases any and all PlayStation IP. There are dormant franchises within this world that have been untouched for years now. And it not, like, this game, and this is my sentiment towards it, not only proves not every game needs to be this massive AAA, over-the-top cinematic experience. It can be a 3D platformer. It can be a fun game. Quality over quantity here. And it just begs the question, is there a chance now, more than ever, I feel, Sly Cooper, Jak and Daxter, Little Big Planet, are there chances of this coming back? Any of them, for this matter?
With the current leadership for PlayStation, no. And I know that sucks. That really sucks because looking at the games in here, so Jack and Daxter, I keep saying that first game is in desperate need of a remake. Like you go back to it now, it still plays fine, but you can make a amazing remake out of the first Jack and Daxter. Don't go to Jack 2. Those other games are just fine left alone. Just that first one, remake that and it's perfect. That so much deserved a remake over The Last of Us Part 1. Yeah. Sly Cooper, I like the Sly. I've only played the first one, not even all the way through. I played it at a friend's house, but I really enjoyed it, so I've always wanted to go back to that. Looks like they have no interest in bringing that back. Ape Escape. They have an Ape Escape level in Astrobot, and it feels great. I played the first Ape Escape for the first time with backwards compatibility like a year or two ago, and I couldn't get into it because it just felt off. Playing it on Astrobot was like, wow, they could bring this back and it could be a fun time, but they just don't want to do anything with it. So yeah, there's a lot of they're just sitting on a lot of dormant IP that they just don't want to do anything with. I've said for years that Twisted Metal needs to come back, and apparently they're making a game like that was rumored like 3 years ago, but the show came out and we've heard absolutely nothing about a new game. So yeah, there's all this room for them to do amazing, creative new games with just the IP that's sitting in their closet, but all they want to do is just reference it in Astrobot and then be like, yeah, we care about our history, and then just push it to the side.
I can't help, and I'm going to die on this hill. I'm going to hammer this point home. This is my conspiracy theory. Insert the graphic, whatever it is. I can see in a world where Astrobot is that litmus test of like, all right, what are the people talking about when they play Astrobot? Are they talking about the Jack and Daxter? Are they talking about Sly? Are they talking about Ape Escape? I'm going to live in that world and be naive. I'm just saying that moving forward. Because at some point over the years where I'm doing this, I got to be right at some point. I think that's statistically good or not. I don't know. But I just think this should be a signal to not even just PlayStation. I'm talking about Xbox too with Crash and Spyro. There is a market for 3D platformers if done well. And Astrobot, they should be sprinting to Toys for Bob right now, saying, hey, not only Crash, Spyro, but Banjo. Where's Banjo? I need something. So that's my 2 cents on the 3D platformers, but I don't know if you have anything else to add here.
We know Toys for Bob is working on something, and it's one of those three. Like, it has to be one of those three, unless they want to make their own platformer, but they pretty much have said that Xbox owns this, so why would they break off from Xbox, make their own thing, and then have them own whatever they're making? So it is Banjo, Crash, or Spyro. We just don't know which one of the three that Toys for Bob is working on. On the PlayStation side, I mean, I just look at their leadership right now, and they never learned the right lesson. Like, WB has the same problem. If there's all this talk about live service games as a service, like, we have seen all these games fail. Concord, oh my god, that is we're not getting into it here, but the most insane failure I've ever seen. 8 years worth of development, millions and millions of dollars, and just gone before 2 weeks of its live service. But they look at a game that, like Astrobot, that had a smaller budget and not as big team, but it's getting all this praise. We don't know about the money it's making yet, but it has to be selling very well. Like, I wish we could see how many people are playing it right now, because I bet it dwarfs the Concord numbers on both PC and PlayStation at any time. But they're going to come out of this and they're like, no, we have to keep chasing this live service model. We want multiplayer games that will live forever and that can constantly make us money. And that's just not their bread and butter. That's not how
Nope.
PlayStation operates. They can make good multiplayer games, like we've seen Twisted Metal, Uncharted had pretty good multiplayer. There's people that love Last of Us, even though that Last of Us 2 factions got canceled. So they can do it, but that's never the main focus for them.
No.
And it we've talked a lot about how acquisitions recently have kind of messed with companies. We've seen that with Xbox acquiring Activision Blizzard. It's forced them to do things that in the past you wouldn't expect them to do with all the layoffs and everything. Like just making bad moves that the business people are like, yeah, no, we have to do this. You're seeing that with PlayStation and the Bungie deal now.
Yeah.
Like, they are so focused. They want to get into this live service market so much, even though it is failing for them. Like, they have Helldivers, which has been an amazing success this year. But when you combine that with Concord, does it really matter?
No. Not one bit. And it's not to say to, like, not chase live service. I think there's a time and place for live service, big AAA games, and games like Astrobot. I think those three create that diverse portfolio you want. And in a year now where we got Concord, we just got Astrobot, where are the rest of the games, or what's next? I mean, I don't know if anything comes to mind right now for you, but PlayStation right now this year, what's next? I mean, grant you, we're going to just talk about what's next technically for them, but games-wise, I don't see anything on the radar.
Really, all I can think of is Wolverine, which has just kind of disappeared. Like last year, I remember talking about it quite a bit. Obviously, there were the leaks and everything, which was bringing it back, but there's been no show of that this year, like no discussion at all. Outside of that, you imagine they're making Returnal 2, Ghost of Tsushima 2, but yeah,
Nothing.
like I know people love those games. I know people love those games, but they have all. I just keep going back to, like, you have amazing games in your backlog, in your portfolio that you could bring back, and they don't have to be massive budgets. That's one of the biggest problems with game development right now, is the ballooning budget. Everyone wants to make the biggest game ever that no one goes away from. Like, this is the one game you have to play, and that just won't work because people want to play different games. Yeah, so I wish they would do more smaller budget stuff. Give me an Ape Escape remake or a new game, Jack and Daxter remake, Loco Roco, which also has a level in Astrobot, which made me like, I want another Loco Roco game. There's so much in the PlayStation well that they could pull from. They just don't want to, because they want to make the next big thing, and that's it.
Well, while we're talking about ballooning budgets, I'm gonna need one to get my hands on a PS5 Pro. Let's talk about it. It was practically revealed. Why? Why do we need it? Why do we need it? I don't know.
It is a hard sell for a very large base of the PlayStation user base. So I have been seeing some posts in the last half hour or so talking about, yeah, with a Pro console, you're not necessarily trying to make a competitive pricing point. You want those hardcore people to pay for it, like the DualSense Edge, like, because that's $200. Not everyone wants that, but only the hardcore players want it. But like, even the hardcore PlayStation owners are looking at the PS5 Pro and it's like, is $700 worth it? Because we are 4 years into the PlayStation 5 life. These games that are coming out are not taking full advantage of the hardware as we have right now. You can say whatever reason that is, the pandemic, developers still going for the last gen consoles. Like, yes, all of that plays into it, and it all makes this, it all plays a part into why the PS5 hasn't met its full potential yet. But it just doesn't make sense to me right now to shell out all this money for an even more powerful console that, yeah, when GTA 6 comes out, it will make it look better, but will it really be that much better than on the regular PS5? I would highly doubt it. What is the big difference between GTA 6 on the PS5 to the PS5 Pro? We're not going to see that until that game comes out in like 2026. But like the messaging we'll get from Sony at that time will just be, yeah, it plays best on PS5 Pro. Okay. But they won't show you it. You'll just have to lay out the $700 plus the $70 or $80 to get GTA 6, an extra $70 or $80 to get the disc drive if you want a physical copy. Like, that is a lot of money. Like, at what point do you just say, no, I am done with home consoles and it's time for me to buy a PC? I am all in on consoles. I always have been. I prefer playing on consoles. I am not a PC gamer. I kind of play more lately, but like these are like indie games that my PC can handle. I am not the target audience for like I have a powerful PC and I'm getting the best graphics, ray tracing and all that stuff. But even I am looking at prices like this. I'm like, I'd rather upgrade my PC at that point.
It also doesn't help where in a couple weeks by now, God of War Ragnarok is coming to PC. Games are going there, and I understand, like, it's a platform, PS5 Pro, blah, blah, blah. But that presentation was, like, 19 minutes. I think the video, like, in completion was 19 minutes. 9 minutes of presentation. You did, like, all right, here are the big three. Larger GPU, AI upscaling, and ray tracing. $700. $700.
They didn't even really show anything. They just kind of threw a lot of company buzzwords at you. Be like, hey, look at these colorful images plus these big words. You want to buy this. And it's like, why? Why would I buy that?
I gotta go back and see if they mentioned teraflops. That's the big word I always look for. I don't know what it does, but I'll look for it. You brought up the comparison. They did show like Ratchet and Clank and Spider-Man. I genuinely tried. I increased the picture on my monitor. I don't know. Maybe I'm dumb. Maybe my eyes are bad. I need glasses. I know I do. But it just... $700, and you brought up the point. You gotta get a disc drive. Games are now $70 a clip. Where does that line end? Like, a sweet spot maybe for this console would have been $600 because they know they're going to have to charge you for a disc drive, another controller potentially, you know, a game. It's just, like, it ticks me off. It's like, again, there was a reason why we needed the PS4 Pro. That's why we needed 4K, all that stuff. Right now on the market, and this has been my thing with mid-console refreshes, it's like there isn't a thing on the market right now, maybe 8K, and that's even a stretch. There's nothing there to drive sales. Like, there's no reason to get it.
No, there's, like, I just don't see a good selling point for the PS5 Pro at all. Even if this was $500, the main price of the PS5, which I would expect would knock down the regular PS5 price, I'd be like, yeah, just get the regular PS5. Like, there's no world right now where I would recommend the PS5 Pro. Obviously, I haven't seen it in person, but, like, does it really matter if the leaves in the background are a little sharper? Like, you're still getting a great performance out of these games that, again, are not getting the full power out of the base model we have now.
And they're charging you for the stand. They're charging you for the stand in small text. That made me laugh so much. It's like $700 and you can't give me a little plastic circle. Like, I normally don't like to be negative when it comes to this stuff. But when you charge $700 for a non-meaningful upgrade, at least in my opinion, comment down below if you think there's a reason to do this. I would love to hear it. But yeah, like $700 is not cheap at all to anybody nowadays. That's a difference, like you said. You can upgrade your PC. You can get a graphics card, more RAM, whatever have you, and be fine there, and then play the games on the PC when they launch down the road. PS5 Pro. Why'd you have to do it today? I was in a good mood somewhat. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I've been seeing stats that the PS4 Pro accounted for like 15%, maybe a little less, 15% of the PS4 audience. Is there any reality where the PS5 Pro, if it stays at this price and we just go forward with the plan right now, is there any reality where that gets above 3% of the PS5 audience? Because
No.
that price is just ridiculous.
Unless they drop like a generational game, like Astrobot's great, but I don't.
The biggest thing is Grand Theft Auto 6. That is the biggest thing. Like, that is going to be a movement when it comes out.
Oh yeah.
And you can be like, yeah, it plays best on PS5 Pro. But is that enough? Like, I just don't see a future where it's like, yeah, no, I have to get a PS5 Pro to play Grand Theft Auto 6. I just don't see that world.
It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. It comes out, I think, in November 7th. So, I mean, I guess we're going to have to wait and see sales numbers that day. I'm going to be very interested. I might go to the store and see if there's any, like, you can just walk in and buy, because the PS5 couldn't get it upon launch, and maybe you can walk into the store and get the Pro. Will I get it?
No.
Probably not.
I'm not.
No.
There's no world right now. I am completely fine with my ugly PS5.
That's it. Any more remarks about PlayStation moving forward? Just tell me we get Jak and Daxter and I'll be fine.
Give me a Jak and Daxter remake, bring back Ape Escape, bring back Twisted Metal. There is a lot of room to make some really good stuff, Sony. You just don't want to do it.
Print money to make more PS5 Pros.
When you swing for only home runs, you're gonna strike out a lot.
Look at that.
So
that quote of the day right there.
Looking at you, PSVR 2 and Concord, and probably the PS5 Pro.
It's been rough. I don't want to be negative no more. Let's close this chapter, because that about does it for this here episode of The Cutting Board. If you want to talk more about this, we got a Discord. Links to all that are in the video description down below. But as of right now, I've been Kalo, joined by John Hanson, and we'll see you guys next time. If you enjoyed today's video and want more content just like this, consider subscribing to Game Sandwich for all your news, rumors, and reviews. And we'll see you guys next time.